main spine. Welcome to the I-495 Sports Podcast, taking sports across Long Island, from the bleachers to the broadcast. We break it down, we write it. I-495 Sports Podcast, from the shore to the skyline. If it happens on the island, you'll hear it on this drive time. Small gyms, Friday lights on a side street. Draft talk, trade wins, legends born on the backfields. Call in, sound off, every fan got a hot take. From the bay to the ballpark, we're live when your heart rate spikes. Welcome to the I-495 Sports Podcast, taking sports across Long Island, from the bleachers to the broadcast. We break it down, we write it. I-495 Sports Podcast, from the shore to the skyline. If it happens on the island, you'll hear it on this drive time. Start the car, hit play, we're your ticket every day. Oh yeah. One road, one voice, Long Island makes some noise. Welcome to the I-495 Sports Podcast, taking sports across Long Island, from the bleachers to the broadcast. We break it down, we write it. I-495 Sports Podcast, from the shore to the skyline. If it happens on the island, you'll hear it on this drive time. Start the car, hit play, we're your ticket every day. Oh yeah, yeah. Oh yeah. One road, one voice, Long Island makes some noise. Welcome to the I-495 Sports Podcast, from the shore to the skyline. If it happens on the island, you'll hear it on this drive time. Start the car, hit play, we're your ticket every day. Oh yeah. One road, one voice, Long Island makes some noise.
Hey, welcome to the inaugural I-495 Sports Podcast. It's Sunday morning. I'm usually never awake at this time, but I figured, you know what? I've wanted to do this for some time. And, well, here I am. I don't know if the stream is actually working on YouTube right now, so we'll cross that bridge when I get to it, but at least I'm recording it, and I will upload it afterwards. So why are we here? For those who follow me on Twitter, know that I am an avid sports fan, and spend most of my time losing my mind while I'm watching sports. Because as a sports fan, you pretty much have to go into it knowing that 99% of the time, you're not winning a championship. So eventually there's going to be some heartbreak. There's going to be a lot of angst. There'll be some good times. There'll be some bad times. And I have no outlet. So I just keep all that stuff just in the gut and like, all right, I gotta have some kind of medium so I can rant, rave, and talk about what's on my mind. And this is it. This is the sports version of therapy, is what it is. So if you're listening to this in your car and you're traversing the Long Island Expressway, people have asked me, so what is the significance of the name, the I-495 podcast? Those of us on Long Island know, obviously, that 495 is the road designation of the Long Island Expressway. But also, if you notice the little logo that I created, and I've been holding it in of who exactly that is, I have a fascination over my sporting life fandom career of what you would call, well, scrub players. Not it may be an unfair word to use, but players that have come and played for the various teams here in New York that you really root for. Not that they were bad players or they were terrible, some were. But players that you see them on the field, you see their name in the lineup or whatever, they come into the game, you just get excited. Oh, I want this person to just, succeed. I want him to have a big game. I want him to show him, you never get to see him play, or he's got little quirks or something like that. Well, the person who is the logo for the I-495 podcast, and I kind of got this from Evan's Rico Bronya podcast, which, by the way, if you really want a phenomenal sports podcast, I'm sure if you know me, you listen to Evan Roberts' Rico Bronya podcast, which is a Mets-based podcast. Him and Pete Hoffman do a great job at that. So I was going back over my favorite players back when I was a kid, and the Yankees traded for this pitcher in 1986. He was in the Rick Rhoden trade that brought the starter from Pittsburgh, and he was a left-handed relief pitcher, and his name was Pat Clements, not Clemens, Clements. Was a lefty pitcher, not so much a loogie, but I had a fascination with this guy. I loved whenever he got into the game, and we would go talk about old school. We would go play stickball every day, and I would pitch. Now, even though I was a right-handed pitcher, I would pitch like this guy. He had kind of a unique way where he would tuck the ball behind his back and throw kind of three-quarters or sidearm. And he was in maybe 68 games for the Yankees in 87, and his ERA was 4.95. Aha, you see the ball rolling there? So I have actually found the contact information for this particular individual. He lives in California, and sometime this week, I'm going to call the number that I found, and I want to ask him if he'd like to come on the podcast and as a guest and talk about his major league career, what it was like being traded. He played for California, the Yankees. I believe he finished his career in Baltimore, played in Pittsburgh. How it was going from town to town, what it was like going through the minors. One of the most curious thoughts I have for him, if you take the average left-handed relief pitcher today and look at what they're making salary-wise, unfairly compared to what they made years ago, how does he feel that if he was potentially in the game today, probably would have made 10 times what he made back then? Rough question, but I'm curious about that. And I think you guys are too. So this is the I-495. And while it's not going to be on YouTube every time, it is going to be on Spotify. I am going to do instant reaction podcasts to games, Islander games, Knicks games, whatever I'm watching, mostly Yankee games during the season. And those will go straight to Spotify. This one, I did a little bit of background work here with the camera. Of course, when I take my headphones out to plug my headphones in, I was missing an ear. And I was like, oh, okay, 10 minutes before the show and I'm missing equipment. But we got through it. We're here. Let's get this pig rolling. If you notice on YouTube, the Yankee Stadium behind me has got black grass because I keyed out the green screen behind me, which is kind of funny. But I could switch that. When I go to Citi Field, it's fine. Maybe that's an omen. But what I want to do is we want to get to the hot topic right now. Wow, look at that transition. Cody Bellinger has stonewalled the Yankees, who have offered him a 5-year, at least $30 million annual average contract. So 5 years, 150, probably a little more. And he is a Boris client, which is a killer to begin with. But he's holding out for 7 years. There is no major league team that's going to give him 7 years. So there's a lot of questions going about this. How do I feel about it? Well, did I want Cody Bellinger back? Hell yes. I loved Cody Bellinger. I think he had a good season. Not a great season, but he had a good season with us. He didn't drive in 100 runs, but he was fairly consistent. You penciled him in the lineup every day. Defensively, he was fantastic. Played some of the best left field I've seen a Yankee outfielder play in some time. But I will admit I have a soft spot in my heart because I am also a big Jason Dominguez fan. And I want to see this kid succeed like you wouldn't believe. We've heard so much about him since he was 16 years old. The Martian, 5-tool player, can hit, run, throw, can do everything, can make you a great hero. He's a good kid. Good kid. He hustles like nobody else on the team. Always busting in and out of the box. Can't tell you how many infield hits he had this year, or hits that wouldn't have been hits by anybody else in the lineup, because he has plus speed as well. But they also put him in left field, which I wasn't crazy about. I wanted Dominguez in center field. He was always a center fielder as a minor leaguer. And you hear so many people say, oh, he's terrible defensively. And you put him in left field, and if he could play center field, he could play left field. No. As someone who was an outfielder for his entire playing career, I played baseball for more than 20 years, it is a vast difference from going from center field to a corner outfield spot because of two things that come into it that you don't have to deal with in center field. Number one is the foul line, and number two, the wall. And the wall and the foul line at Yankee Stadium makes left field one of the hardest outfield spots in the major leagues to play. You only have about 2 feet of foul ground in that corner. And if you're not used to running and holding your hand out and, knowing how to play that, you'll get hurt big time. In fact, I don't remember who it was. There was a Yankee kid, an outfielder, who was playing right field a couple years ago that, was it in Detroit? That he was running down the line and he wasn't familiar with the field, and he bashed his knee into a metal box, and I think it wrecked his career. I don't remember who it was. It wasn't Billy McKinney. I just don't remember who it was off the top of my head. But so that to me is a problem, but I figured it's a good problem to have. What complicated this whole thing? The Trent Grisham qualifying offer. I was very much against just giving that to him. I think Trent Grisham should have been a free agent. And honestly, where should Trent Grisham be right now? He should be the center fielder of the Mets. The Mets needed an outfielder. Right now, they got Tyrone Taylor in center field, and we'll cross to the Mets in a little bit. But I think Trent Grisham would have been a perfect addition to the Mets. Give him a little pop. Give him somebody that goes out there in center field every day and would have cleared up this logjam where then you could have re-signed Bellinger, moved Dominguez to center field, you have Judge in right field, and you have Spencer Jones to come up and play wherever in the world you're going to put him. You can move him around. He's a rookie. He's going to have some tough times. He strikes out a lot. I suppose he's very good in the field, and you could put him in any one of the 3 outfield spots. Still, I would love to see that, but didn't happen. So now we're struck with Trent Grisham till at least July 15th. $22 million. And for as good of a year as people, know he had last year, I believe he popped 34 home runs last year. Let me just verify that. 34 homers, 74 RBIs. He only hit 235, which for him is like almost hitting 300. He's a career 218 hitter. The years before, hit 190 with us 2 years ago. 198 the year before that. 194 the year before that. I'm sorry. Wait, I was looking at the wrong column. No, I was looking at the right column. Wow, that's pretty bad. So I don't expect a lot out of Trent Grisham. Is he going to pop some homers? Probably. He runs into the ball a lot. I'm hoping, I don't think it's going to happen, but I'm hoping July 15th comes and they're able to deal him, and then they can move the outfield alignment back to what I believe it should be. But this whole Bellinger thing has complicated matters tremendously. So now, let's say Bellinger doesn't come back. Where would he go? Well, L.A. L.A. will backload some kind of contract, which to ridiculous numbers. I wonder if Boston now comes into play because Alex Bregman signed a contract with the Chicago Cubs yesterday. So they've got a hole in their lineup, and I'm sure they can fit Bellinger in somewhere. And I will not discount the Mets as throwing their hat in the ring. There's unlimited funds there. I know, again, we'll get to the Mets in a minute. I know David Stearns has done a lot of that has pissed Met fans off over there. But you can't discount them ever because of that financial backing that David Stearns has. Now, the Yankees have shown the want and ability to go past the tax threshold, which most didn't think that they were going to do. You thought Hal Steinbrenner was going to have a hard $300 million line and cap that he wouldn't cross. Well, he's shown that he'd cross that with Juan Soto last year offering him the $700 million, with Bellinger now offering him the 150 that would push the limit past 300. So there's money there to play with. Why? I I can't really answer why Bellinger's camp is really holding out for a hard cap on 7 years. If he liked it so much here, it sounds like there's no compromise. And the Yankees are taking it as such. At least the report is that, oh, they're going to move on and look at other options, which I understand. You know, you got to say, okay, we're going to do this. So Bellinger's like, uh-oh. Okay, so now they're moving on. If I don't change my ways, I'm not coming back. It's a game. That's all it is. It's a game. What do I think is going to happen? I think Bellinger's going to come back still. I think they're going to compromise. Maybe they up the AAV a little more. I don't see them going to 6. I don't see them going to 6 years. I think the Yankees are hard pressed on 5. And they said, look, we'll give you a little more. If you take it, you take it. If not, we're going with Dominguez in left field, and the kid will get a full shot every single day. Which, again, was one of my issues with how they played Dominguez last year. He was in 1 game, out 2 games. In 2 games, out 1 game. He never was consistent in the lineup. And that, I think, affected him. He had a decent year. He hit in the 260s. Should have had more pop, but never really got going. Plus, they didn't give him a lot of at-bats right-handed. He is a switch hitter. And if you're going to get better, you got to play. He's got to see the pitching at the major league level, and keep in mind that this kid is only 23 years old. Is not a free agent until 2031. So you've got many years of team control. Knock on wood. He is not an injury-prone kid. He had no injuries that I believe last year. So you have to keep that in the back of your mind. And yes, the Spencer Jones question does loom. What do you do with him? I thought that they would probably trade him. His value right now is pretty much at a peak because he hasn't hit the major league level yet. So there is no guess on what he's going to do. My fear is he's going to struggle mightily. He did strike out so much at AAA last year, close to 40% strikeouts. That's not going to translate very well to the major league level. So I thought they were going to move him for maybe a pitcher. It's going to take more than just him to get Peralta or somebody like that. I probably would have traded him for Cabrera from Florida, but they got a good prospect, the top prospect from Chicago, the top outfield prospect. So keep that in mind. But that's the Cody Bellinger situation. I'm sure we're going to hear something where it's going to resolve, maybe as quick as today, but definitely in the next couple of days. I think the situation will resolve itself. There's still a couple of big free agents on the board. That is Kyle Tucker. Sorry, I just woke up. So where's Kyle Tucker going to go? Now the Yankees are saying, well, we're going to dip our feet into the Kyle Tucker market. They're not signing Kyle Tucker. Kyle Tucker is going to demand more money than Bellinger is. Would he take a shorter term deal, though? That's a question, because supposedly he would possibly with LA maybe take a 3-year deal. He's still going to be young, can go back into free agency in his prime. So the Yankees could say, well, we'll offer you a 3-year deal at, 35, 38 million, something like that. And now if you're in the Bellinger camp, you're like, oh, what did we just do? So a lot of questions out there. Overall, the Yankee offseason has been very lackluster. Obviously, I got to put the Yankee Stadium background back on because we're talking about the Yankees, even though it's black grass. We really haven't improved the team at all. It's going to be running back the same team that we had last year that won 93 games, which, yes, with the same amount of games as the Toronto Blue Jays. But every year, the Yankees go into the offseason with the thought of, we're going to come back with a better team. And that's what the fan base believes. We're going to spend money. We're going to come back. We're going to, be more improved, blah, 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 blah. This year, that has not been the case with most teams, unless you are Baltimore or Toronto, who have really opened up the bank and brought in some big players to transform their team. especially Toronto. They're really going nuts. I think they've spent about $500 million in the offseason so far. I think Baltimore's been about $300 million. But it's not over yet. Position by position wise, the Yankees are obviously a very good team. But we were exposed in the postseason for our lack of contact hitting, our lack of situational hitting. And now without Bellinger in the lineup, we lose a lot on the defensive end too. So where's the pivot going to be? Well, if you go position by position, let's take it that route. So catcher, you're going to have Austin Wells and probably J.C. Escara coming back, which, again, Wells didn't have a great offensive year, but he had, I think, about the kind of year that most thought he was going to have. For as nice of an offensive player as he is, he goes through big-time slumps. And let's be honest, the guy gets the shit kicked out of him behind the plate. I mean, from all the years I've been watching baseball, I don't remember a catcher getting more nicks, bruises, bats hitting him, foul tips off of every part of his body. The guy really gets beat up back there brutally. And he didn't spend, I don't think he really spent any time on the injured reserve, so you gotta give him kudos for that. First base. Well, Ben Rice is going to be at first base this year as of right now. They don't really have much of a backup plan there. They re-signed Ahmed Rosario, who you can throw all over the field. But the kid's going to get a chance, which I'm excited about. I think his stick is legit. He's a power threat. He hits the ball harder than anybody on the team not named Judge or Stanton. Lefty, good kid, homegrown kid. You love seeing that. But you're scared a little about the defense. So you're wondering if they'll bring in somebody like Goldschmidt was last year. It could be a defensive replacement late in the game, possibly. But he's going to get every chance to go out there and learn. This is where I really, you wish Donnie Baseball, who's going to be in Philadelphia this year. Oh, just, God, the poor guy. You wish they could have brought him in some capacity to teach Ben Rice first base. Because who better to teach you how to play that bag than Donald Arthur Mattingly? We're going to get to him in a second, by the way. So at second base, you got Jazz Chisholm. Are they going to hold on to Jazz Chisholm? That's a question. There are some thoughts that you trade him now, which makes sense because Jazz is a free agent after the season. They're not going to pay him. And I don't think I'd pay him either. He's kind of rubbed people a little bit the wrong way. His play has been okay. He thinks he's something he's not. He thinks he's a 50-homer hitter. Swings for the fences a lot, strikes out a lot. Defensively, he's been good. He's got good range, got a good arm. A little wonky sometimes. Better than Gleyber Torres was defensively. But you pencil him in now. Maybe you look how the team is at the deadline. If we're faltering, you get something for him. I don't know where you'd probably send him. Maybe back to Miami. I don't know. That's a good question. Anthony Volpe at shortstop. Won't be there, though, for some time because he had the elbow surgery. So Jose Caballeros is going to start at short. That's going to be a weird one for a little while. What do you have at Anthony Volpe? Some people have given up on him already. And look, for obvious reason. I can't argue. He hasn't been good offensively. But again, and I'll go with A-Rod on this one, who commented that he wasn't crazy about the way that they've brought him up, kind of. He's got this uppercut swing, which is just horrible. Can't put bat on ball consistently. Defensively, he went from a Gold Glover, which I never really thought he was a Gold Glover. I thought he was good defensively. Didn't think he was that good. But he went from that, and he regressed a lot. And how much was due to the elbow? We'll see. He's going to come back. He's going to get a shot. He's still young. What is he, 25? Something like that. He's still young. So Caballeros will try to hold the position down. Probably a mix of Rosario in there as well, who can also play short. You can play him in all of the infield. Third base is going to be a question. I like Ryan McMahon. I wasn't crazy about getting him at the trade deadline because I know what he is. He's another high strikeout, low average guy. He's a 230 hitter, strikes out 180 times a year. Will pop you probably between 15 to 20 homers. He's got great moxie, and defensively, he's a gem at third base. You love him at third base. But they don't have full faith in him because he's, again, going to strike out a lot. His contact skills are just not there. There was some talk and some rumors that, we're going to, put him down in the minor leagues or whatever during spring training. We found some things. We're going to send him to the batting lab, and he's going to come back stronger and better. You are what you are when you get to a certain age, and with him, I can't see him being better than what he is. That being said, he's a lot better than what we've had over the last couple of years there. So I consider that a plus for now. Give him a shot. Let him play against righties and lefties for the most part, but get Rosario in there. I know Rosario hits lefties a lot. That's his kind of thing. It's all right. Platoon, whatever. See how that works. At least we have somebody there who is major league competent. And then we have, obviously, the outfield that we discussed before. Grisham's going to be in center field every day until something happens with that. Judge is going to be in right field. Now, he's coming back from the elbow injury as well. I think he's going to be fine. He did a great job last year at staying healthy. Let's hope he does that again, because if we lose him, we just lose everything. It's like a big snowball effect. Everything starts with him. And you have old Giancarlo at the DH spot. He's going to get his at-bats. He's going to do the whole thing again this year, running at half speed so he doesn't get hurt. He's 47 home runs, I believe, away from 500. That's the goal. That's what the Yankees want. That's why he's still there. That's going to be the big ticket item. He could possibly do it in 2 seasons if he stays healthy enough, because I could see him popping another, between 20 and 30 homers this year. He'll get hurt like he always does. He'll miss a month. He'll miss this. He'll miss that. But you kind of live with that. It does clog the DH spot. We know this. So there you go as far as the offensive side of the ball goes. And the bench is, what it is. Like in J.C. Escar, the backup catcher. He was okay. The kid was a good story. Got to see who else they're going to round out the bench with. I'm forgetting somebody that I wanted to mention, but I forgot who it was. Then the pitching staff. That's the strength. That's where it really, the whole season is going to come down to. And it's not going to be whole, hopefully, until June. Garrett Cole and Carlos Rodon, both coming off surgeries. They're not going to be ready for at least 2 months. They're really taking their time with Cole for obvious reasons. He's older. Coming off the Tommy John, you don't know how he's going to be. I mean, you're talking about a guy who would throw 100 miles an hour in the 8th inning. I don't know if he's still going to be able to do that. Is he going to have to reinvent himself? I'm sure there's going to be a lot of rust there. We'll see how that progresses. Max Fried was fantastic last year. Had one period towards the end of the year where he was slumping, but really you couldn't have asked for more. Max Fried threw more innings than he ever had thrown last year for any season he was with the Braves. He pretty much stayed healthy. He was the horse. He did a great job. You have Luis Heel, who's kind of a question mark. He came back from injury last year, wasn't as good as he was when he was healthy in the prior years. You hope that he has a bounce back and throw some innings. You got to wait for Clark Schmidt to come back. He's not going to be back till probably August because he had the Tommy John late, and he was a consistent innings eater. And then you got the 600-pound elephant in the room, old Cam Schlittler. How is he going to do now going into a full season? You got to monitor him, which is amazing to me. I mentioned stickball the other day, earlier in the show. And, when I was a kid, and we were 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th grade, we would go play stickball every day. Stickball was life. Me, my best friend Chris, my good friend Pete would go down to a couple schoolyards in the area on Long Island. The one place we used to play was a place called Brooklyn Avenue School, which had it was a real short stickball field, but it was across the street from a couple houses. And when you would hit a homer, you'd hit the house. So you'd hit some upper deck shots, and it was always fun. But we would throw. We use a tennis ball. We wouldn't play with the blue racquetball. Use a tennis ball. We would probably throw, I'd say, 200 pitches a day, every day. We'd go from 250. We'd come back the next day. We'd throw 150. We'd come back the day after that. We're throwing 225. We would play for hours, throwing and throwing and throwing. I wish I counted the number back then. We would play until our arms were jello. You could barely lift it. None of us ever had Tommy John surgery. None of us, we weren't, gym rats or working out or anything like that. We were kids, and maybe it's something about being that age that your arm can take that abuse. But it's fascinating to me how everybody, even high school kids today, are having Tommy John surgery. I don't get it. I would play stickball. I would then go play baseball for my high school team, and I would throw more. In fact, I remember only this because it was the first time they had me pitch. This had to be 1990. This was 91 or 92. I think it was on the junior varsity baseball team for Valley Stream Central High School. And the first time that I pitched was a game against Valley Stream South High School. And the kid was doing the book, and they actually had the clicker, the pitch count clicker going, which you never saw then. And I remember when the game was over, the kid came up to me because I struck out 12 and I walked 10 that game. We won. I think we won 3-1. And he came up to me and he's like, "You threw 179 pitches." I was like, "Really? I didn't know. Quite interesting." So, and nobody thought about anything back then. That wasn't oh my God, 100 pitch limit. Get the kid out of the game. No. I only gave up one run and like 5 hits. Just let him go. He's doing fine. Where is that today? That's where the game of baseball has changed. And I don't ever see it coming back. They're trying to do little things to try to make the starting pitchers elongate longer into the game. Somewhere the DNA has changed, and now pitchers just can't go like they used to. It's so strange. And yet you hate going to a game and 12 pitchers have thrown in this game. The time they're warming up in the bullpen, they come in, they got to warm up. Oh, this guy got hurt, so now he can throw 75 pitches to warm up. Yeah, it's a pain in the ass. Nobody likes that. I used to love the old, start, go 5, 6, 7 innings, get one middle reliever in there to get the hold, and then the closer comes in for the save. I don't know if we're ever going to see that again. So where do the Yankees go from here again? We're going to see in the next couple days. I have been on MLB trade rumors 10,000 times a day, looking at my phone on the Score app, just getting as much information as I possibly can to where they might go or what's happened. You want that up to the second information. And my phone has the little Sports Center logo. When it gets a sports update, you might hear it as it's sitting here. Oh, Bellinger might sign while we're doing this. If it does, then I'll pick it up. Maybe we'll get up to the second reporting. But so that's where the Yankees stand right now. Let's take a little shift and let's go to the New York Mets. Now, I am not a Mets fan, I will admit, but I don't hate the Mets. I only hate the Mets when they play the Yankees. But I have a lot of Met fan friends. Obviously, as I mentioned before, Evan with his great Mets podcast. What has David Stearns done over there? It is a fascinating thing to see from the outside looking in. I can't imagine being a Mets fan and just being gutted with your favorite players. The Pete Alonso thing, we'll get to that in a second. It's very interesting what's happening there. David Stearns has his vision. Old Uncle Stevie Cohen has bought into it, obviously 100%, and has given him full autonomy and said, go do you. And now what he's done, they say you can't do that in New York. You can never rebuild in New York. You've always got to do whatever you can to improve. You're not going to see a team. Well, you got the Jets, but that's another story. You're not going to see a team break it down, take 3, 4, 5 seasons of crappy losing, and then rebuild themselves into a contender. No, the Mets and Yankees have pretty much, even under the Wilpon era, the Mets have tried to consistently put out a good product. This is something that's unique. After last year, them taking Juan Soto from the Yankees, they took Juan Soto from free agency, but yes, he was a Yankee. And I'd like to add, for the record, I did not want the Yankees to re-sign Juan Soto, especially at that money. I didn't want him back. I thought that would have completely hamstrung the team, and obviously it would have, because if he would have re-signed Juan Soto, no Max Fried. And all the other pieces that they brought in last year, Juan Soto would have been it. That's it. And we would have not had the same record of Toronto. I think it would have been ugly. So the Mets take him. They take him the huge contract. The franchise needed it. It revitalized the franchise. The fans came out really in droves. It was really great to see Citi Field getting filled up with Met fans. There was a lot of excitement there. My best friend was, who I hope to bring on the podcast at some point, to get his feelings and his thoughts on Soto coming in, how the place was. He goes to a number of games. I didn't go to any Met games last year, which usually I always wind up going to one or two a year. But nobody gave me any tickets, so I didn't wind up going last year. So yeah, again, it revitalized the fan base, and he said, okay, we now got a guy we got to build around. Problem was that the team was pretty much, at least in my eyes, was Francisco Lindor's team. Now Lindor, all-star, great shortstop, very hot or cold, goes through killer slumps, but when he's hot, there may not be a hotter hitter in baseball. It's impossible to get him out and keep him off the bases. He's got speed. He's a great defender. He's got power. Last year, the year before, the clutchness was off the chart. Last year, he was up and down a little bit, but still wound up having a very good year. And so you bring Soto in, and all of a sudden you feel like you got two alphas on the team. And from what I read, and again, nobody really knows this, I think it's mostly speculation, that they didn't really get along that well. Now, yeah, you're Juan Soto. You're coming in with this $700 million contract, and you've got luxury boxes and hotels and all this stuff that's given to you and your family, and you get all these perks. And now you're Francisco Lindor, and you're like, I'm still here. I never got any of that stuff. So I can understand there being some animosity there. But put that aside for a sec. The Pete Alonso thing is just a gut-wrenching, even from someone, again, who is not a Mets fan. I feel really bad for the kids and the fans. Alonso was a very, very likable guy. Not only was he strictly the best power hitter on the team, bar none. For as many home runs as Juan Soto had, Soto was never really known so much as a power hitter. He's an overall excellent hitter, power to all fields, doubles, triples. He's just a guy that can hit. Alonso was strictly mostly a power hitter. He was not a guy that's going to leg a double into a triple or get a lot of singles. He's not a high average guy. He's 260, 270 at most. He hit 300 or over a little bit for most of last season before he went into a slump. But he's going to give you 40 to 50 home runs every year, and he is a fan favorite. The polar bear. People, I liked him, and I'm not a Mets fan. I liked watching him. I liked his quirkiness. I liked the fact that, again, he was a homegrown Met. Brought him up through the minors. You watched him that first season where he came up and set the rookie home run record, which pissed me off because he took it away from Aaron Judge. But you had to respect that. You had to respect that totally. So, they gave him an offer. I think they were looking at 3 years, and he wound up getting 5 years, 155, I think, from Baltimore. Seeing him on the Orioles, not only are we now going to have to deal with him during the regular season, or perhaps the playoffs even, but seeing him in Baltimore is just going to be weird. It's very, very strange. It doesn't fit. It doesn't belong. And David Stearns went, and he has gone full bore into his vision. He is not spending any money, which is kind of goofy when you know that, big old Uncle Stevie, who's worth $24 billion and is the single richest solo owner in sports. So why they're not just opening the bank and signing XYZ? Why are they not in on Kyle Tucker? Why are they not in on Cody Bellinger? They have said they are not going in on Bellinger now. They're out of the Bellinger sweepstakes, which is mind-numbing to me, considering the fact right now if the ball is hit to somebody in left field, there ain't no one there to catch it. Okay. The Mets depth chart, last I looked, had Tyrone Taylor listed in left and center field. Unless they're going to play him in the middle like a softball roamer. That's not good. So I know they got some rookies that they're going to look to bring up and try to take that space. But the Met fan has been, in my eyes, befuddled and angry, disappointed, and just like the Joker, you got question marks above your head. Like, what? This is not exactly what we bought into when Uncle Stevie bought the team. We thought that we were going to be this financial juggernaut, have no limitations, go out, get the players that we want, make this a place that people want to come to. Now, there is a problem here in New York right now, and it's growing that I think all the sports have had to deal with, and that is the fact that living in New York is a freaking nightmare. The taxes that get taken out. You're a sports player. You got to put yourself into that position. You're a free agent, and you like playing in. You played in New York for you. You want to take Bellinger. You want to come back. You want a multi-year deal, big bucks. If you get then the option of playing in a place like Florida, Texas, a place that has not only better weather than New York, because you're not playing in 38-degree weather in April, but you have no state income tax, which will save you millions. I mean millions. Where the hell are you going to go want to play? Think about that. And I think people are now starting to realize that. You get like Toronto, who's got insane taxes that get taken out up there on these mega contracts. But the Blue Jays are batshit enough that they will pay you more. They will go overboard to pay you to bring them into Toronto because they know they have to. The New York teams don't seem to want to do that. They're steadfast at their numbers. And if you're a free agent, you've got a lot of things to weigh in your head, especially look at LA. Look at what the Dodgers have done and what they've done to the sport. They are a juggernaut. The whole Ohtani contract, Yamamoto, Freeman, Betts, they could sign Kyle Tucker. They could sign Cody Bellinger. To them, it's nothing. They've perfected this way of stretching these contracts out over 20 years so it doesn't kill the bottom line. And the people that go there are like, ooh, it's sunny, it's 80 degrees every day, it's LA. Why would you want to play anywhere else? That is a problem for the rest of Major League Baseball. And I know that Rob Manfred was on Craig Carton's show on WFAN, and he had kind of asked the question about what LA has done, but asked it in a way that Manfred really didn't have to answer the LA question. Tiki Barber was really poignant on that point. It's obviously not good for the game. Places, the little places, Pittsburgh, Minnesota, which Minnesota's got its own problems right now. Even, Seattle, Arizona, Tampa Bay, Miami. These are places that are never going to attract the big free agents to play there, especially a place like Pittsburgh, I love the Pittsburgh Pirates. They were honestly my second or third favorite team for many years. Big Andy Van Slyke fan back in the 80s. I would love to see the Pittsburgh Pirates be a contender, a serious contender. They have an absolutely beautiful ballpark. Small, intimate. I've never been there myself. My best friend has. Again, something I'd like him to come on and discuss. He has been to all 30 ballparks, by the way. A great thing to talk about. Would love for him to come on and talk. We will get him on here to talk about the ballparks. That'll be a lot of fun. So anyway, Pittsburgh, beautiful park, good fan base, good area. Oh, how great is it when the Pirates are in the postseason? That place is jumping. The yellow towels, great to see. But what LA done is they've made it where it's virtually impossible for Pittsburgh to compete. They don't have the payroll. They don't have the income. I know they spent a little bit this offseason. They're going to be a little better. But how many years are they going to re-sign Andrew McCutchen? He's going to be playing till he's 74 years old. And they're just that, they may make the playoffs. Maybe. We hope. But so back to David Stearns and the Mets. Where do they go from here? What is the plan? Is it really going with the youth movement? Kind of a reset? See what we got down in the minors? The pitching is a question. Talk about question marks. So Sean Manaea, who he was not good last year, he came off injury. Kodai Senga, he was injured and he came back and he stunk. Senga at his best was really good, but he hasn't been that in a while. So there's your 1 and 2 question mark. Now you've got McLean. Was it Nolan McLean? I believe his name is. Salty. He's Cam Schlittler. Maybe better than Cam Schlittler, honestly, because Schlittler is not really a strikeout pitcher, even though he had that great game against Boston. But you're going to throw him in as he's the new DeGrom, you hope. Knock on wood. The kid has got moxie. He's got a great arm. He's got an unbelievable repertoire of pitches. He's very, very good. Should be a Met long term. Knock on wood, he stays healthy. So you have him. And then they were trying to trade Peterson. Why? I don't know. I know he's not a great pitcher, but at least he's an innings eater, and he's up and down as well. When he's on, he's very good. It was kind of middling last year. And then you got the kids, Sproat and Jonah Tong. Poor Jonah Tong came up and got his ass kicked. He was not ready for the major leagues. I'm not a great fan of what he has. He has a lot of off-speed pitches, a lot of movement. Usually, I don't think that translates too well to today's game, which everything in today's game is power. Power pitching. It's all people want is power pitching. But look, he's young. His minor league numbers are off the charts impressive. So you want to see if they can hone that and he can come up and be that person in the major leagues. He'll obviously get a taste again of the league this year. Let him throw a couple more innings at AAA. He needs the seasoning. But they held on to all three kids. So, there wasn't a trade out there, I guess, that they felt that they would get fair value in. So that's the question about the Mets in the trade market. What's out there that they can trade for? It's really an odd question. Because if they're going to contend, which you're trying to sell to the fan base, you can't be the New York Mets and say, listen, we're going to try to compete this year, but, I know tickets are X amount of dollars and they ain't getting any cheaper. And, you got to spend $50 to park your car at Citi Field. So we're going to try, but you can't sell that to the fan base. This is a fan base that has been clamoring for a title since 1986. Went to the World Series in 2015, hasn't been back, and is, when Soto came in, again, it uplifted the fan base. You went from a 4 to a 9 on a scale of 10 of excitement for what the Mets could possibly bring to Queens. Now, all of a sudden, you took this offseason, no more Brandon Nimmo, no more Pete Alonso, questions on the pitching staff up the wazoo. You just lost Ryan Stanek, which was the bad thing. He stunk at a 5.25 ERA last year, so he's gone. You got questions all over the diamond. Mark Vientos, is he a third baseman? Is he a first baseman? You signed a non-first baseman in Peralta to play first base. That's going to be interesting. No more Jeff McNeil. Thank God. I kind of liked McNeil. When he was really good, he was a really solid contact hitter, but man, he fell off a cliff. And the fan base had it with him. So you got no more of him. You got Acuna Jr. What is he? Is he good enough? There was a lot of, when we got him from, who had him? I forgot who they picked him up from. It wasn't Atlanta, was it? No. I forgot who had him, where they traded him from. But it was, we got an Acuna, and this guy is going to be like his brother, and he's going to be great. Blah, blah. How'd that turn out? That's always a question about prospects. You never know. So, questions all over the place. Who the hell is in the outfield? Again, there ain't nobody in left field right now to catch a ball. So they've got to do something. We're only a mere, 5 weeks away from spring training starting? That's not a lot of time. So unless this is going to be like Major League and you got Pedro Serrano pulling up and Willie Mays Hayes and, I got this guy out of the Mexican League. which don't laugh, the Yankees signed a first baseman who played in the Mexican League last year. I don't know where they're going. It's already crazy interesting to see what this team is going to be this year. I do like when the kids can play. You want to really see this, and I'm so curious. Jet Williams is a Met rookie that's been talked about for many years. They also have a center fielder. I forgot his name, something with a C. That they're talking about putting him up, bringing him up, giving him major league reps, see what he can do. That's great, but you need the veteran guys on the team to help these kids. Throwing them right into the fire of the major leagues, that kind of is what happened to Jason Dominguez, and you don't want to really go that route, especially if they're not can't miss prospects, quote unquote. So the Mets are going to be real interesting to watch this year. The roster is just going to be roster. I always say roster. It's going to be like roster. It's going to be interesting to watch this year to see where exactly they go. And we'll keep an eye on the level of angst the fan base has. Evan is going to come on the show. Evan Roberts. He told me he'd love to come on. So sometime we'll do one. We'll get him on here. I'd like to get him on probably sometime around the beginning of spring training. I'd like his thoughts on the state of the Mets roster, what he thinks they're going to do going forward. If anybody knows and has good, excellent insights on it, it's going to be Evan. He lives and breathes the Mets. I mean, come on, people. The guy played Let's Go Mets Go at his wedding. And I was right there next to him on the floor as he was dancing to it. There's a lot of respect there. I love my boy Evan. That's all him. That's Evan. If you want to know what Evan's like, that's Evan. So, what else have we got going on today? Let's hit up quickly the old New York Football Giants and their head coaching search. Everybody wants Harbaugh. I think they're going to get Harbaugh. I think the Maras, which I know John Mara's going through some really horrific crap right now, and we wish him well and hope he gets better. The Giants' job is the job to get this offseason. Even though they only won 4 games this year, there's some talent on this roster that I think can be honed. You obviously have Jackson Dart. The kid is good. Is the best quarterback we've had since Eli. I love him to be as good as Eli. 10 touchdowns he scored on the ground this year. You worry about him and his health. He's already had concussions. Was he in the protocol twice, I believe? That's not good, and that's a big worry. So the problem is his game brings that into it. So are you going to continue to let him go out there and be himself, or you really kind of pull back the reins on the kid and say, listen, you got to quit running with the legs. Run with your feet. But, yeah, so you have the Jackson Dart question there. Hopefully he can remain healthy. You've got some people on the on the defensive line. Abdul Carter was a beast this year. I've always liked Thibodeau. I think he can be better. But we actually had a pass rush this year after not having one for, I couldn't tell you the last time we did. The quarterbacks would literally be able to sit back in the pocket, have a 6-course meal, and still have time to throw the ball without getting touched. This year, we put a lot of pressure on the opposing quarterbacks, which was nice to see. We have some more offensive weapons. Look, Neighbors is going to come back. Jackson Dart was, as good as he was, didn't have him there. That's going to make us that much better. We also have that number 5 pick in the draft. We need to a little more up on the offensive line. The offensive line was the best offensive line I have seen from the Giants in 10 years. That being said, there is room for improvement. So you've got all this going on, and yet Joe Shane, the general manager, is still there through all this. That is, talk about the 600-pound elephant in the room. That's a monster question. Monster question. Why is he back? The failure of this team after being crappy for so long. Now, it's a 50-50 thing, double-edged sword, if you will. He's brought in and drafted some decent players. Like I said, there is some talent on this roster. It's not devoid, like the other team we'll mention in a minute. And the job is very, very attractive. But if you're Jim Harbaugh, are you willing to sign with this team with Joe Schoen as the GM, or do you want more of that power, or what have you? Again, Harbaugh's, he's been in the NFL 20 years now. This is a guy that's put his time in. He probably wants full control. So this is going to be Shane's last season. Has to be. Unless the Giants make the playoffs. Can they? Yeah. There were a lot of games this year where the Giants just missed. They could have easily won 7 or 8 games. Maybe more. The whole coaching carousel was a problem between Daboll and oh my God, I forgot the offensive coordinator's name. Kafka. So there's some possibilities there. At least I think for the first time in some years, the Giant fan, like myself, we've got an outlook now of some positivity, but it depends on the coach. Whatever coach comes in here now has got to be a coach that comes in here for at least the next 5 years. No more of this, oh God, we got this guy, he lasted 6 games. We got this guy lasted a year, now he's a McAdoo, and all these names. It's mind-numbing. It's made it so that, honestly, the whole football season for us here in New York was a complete joke. Complete joke. I made so much fun of the Giants and Jets on Twitter because that's all we had. The season was over after week 1. There was no... it was terrible. Watching the games was painful. And I still watched. I would admit I probably watched less football this year than I have in years past. I was very uppity when Jackson Dart got the shot, so I wanted to watch him and see what he had. And then I made a bet. I'm not so much of a sports bettor, but I made a bet for the Jets over and under 2.5 wins. It was plus 2.5. And I bet the most of any bet that I had ever bet on FanDuel that the Jets would not hit 2.5 wins, which was a whole robust $19. Man, when they won that third game, when they won the second game, I was pissed. When they won the third game, the rant that happened in this office that I'm sitting right here was pretty epic. Oh, the things I wanted to tweet, the things that I was saying, within earshot of many people. Wow. Felt good. But I lost my bet would have given me I think I would have won $48. Who thought the Jets were going to win more than 2.5 games this year? And they wound up winning 3. Sports betting, guys. Just don't get into it. Don't get into it. I don't bet a lot at all. I have fun with the best friend. We bet the NBA sometimes. And it's funny that we'll bet a quarter. We'll bet $1. I'm big on parlays. So I'll bet some ridiculous parlay for 75 cents that if it hits, I'll win $31. And then I'll go crazy when some idiot doesn't get enough rebounds or something like that. That's pretty fun. Because if you do it at little monetary amounts like that, you want to watch every game. You're involved in every game. That's what betting does. But just it can be an easy problem. And I don't recommend anyone ever get into doing it, especially on serious monetary levels. Unless you've got the means and you've got that much disposable income, stay away from the sports betting, folks, please. So that's where the Giants are. We're going to see. I think the coach is probably going to be hired this week. Harbaugh said he was going to limit his teams to a low number of teams he's looking at, which some people thought he wouldn't even coach. They thought he might take a year off, go into the booth. Doesn't have to coach. He's made his money. He was with Baltimore for so many years. But it looks like he wants to get back in the game. He sees an opportunity. And, the Harbaughs are very competitive people. He wants to get in there. He wants to get in the playoffs. He wants a Super Bowl. Wants it. So I respect that. So we'll look and see who's going to be hired and see the direction of them. The Jets, all these little transitions I have for those watching on YouTube. Look at that. It goes Giants go away and Jets. Oh, I actually have the Meadowlands background too. I forgot to put that on. Aha. The Jets, what a dumpster fire is going on over there. I'm not going to spend much time on them at all. Aaron Glenn, any one of us could have done the same job that Aaron Glenn did for the Jets this year. I tried to watch a couple of Jets games during the season, and I would sit there with my jaw open, just like, this is NFL football. The decisions, the what clock management? There was, I don't know what he was doing all year. Now, granted, let's be real. The roster sucks. They've got no quarterback. I mean, none. I actually wish, God rest his soul, that Jared Lorenzen, the old Giant quarterback that used to play in the Arena League, the fat, portly guy, I wish he was still alive, because the Jets would have given him a tryout. I would have loved to see him don the green and white and be on the field just this season, because they were so bad, it gave you a reason to watch. Who was watching Justin Fields and Tyrone Taylor and Cook, the quarterback? These guys are horrible. Couldn't move the ball. Breece Hall couldn't run the ball. He had his moments, but man, they have got a lot of draft capital, and boy, they are going to need to use it. Because I have, in where I work, a lot of people are Jets fans. In fact, some are Jets season ticket holders, which, ouch, that's lighting money on fire every year. Look, Beningo, take Beningo. Look at poor Joe Beningo. How much do we love the Joe Beningo rants on WFAN over the years? Oh, the pain podcast he does all the time he did the midday show with Evan. You feel his pain. Oh, bro, the pain, bro. It's sad in a way, and I have said this to Evan before. There is no better radio than when Evan and Joe are pissed off. There is no better radio as far as sports goes, because they get this little pissy attitude, and just it's the end of the world. Everything is a disaster. Everything is on fire. It's so hilarious to listen to. I love listening to it, but I feel bad at the same way. I don't want Evan to have to, and Joe, to have to live with this constant losing every year. You remember when the Jets drafted Sam Darnold, and Evan had the video? He's in his house, shirtless. He's up in his room where he's got his little multiple TVs, which I believe since the last time I was there that he's changed that setup. And he was like, "We did it. Yes, we did it." Oh. Yeah, your heart just bleeds for the kid. He's a father of two now. I'm still calling him a kid. He wanted it so bad. And all the Jet fans want it so bad. My respect to those who can afford it, first of all. But to get up, especially, I was looking at the last Jets game of the year, this last Sunday. For those who got up and actually drove to the Meadowlands or took public transportation down to the Meadowlands, sat there in the chilly weather. There weren't many, but there was, I don't know, I got to look at what the attendance numbers was. I'll guess. I'll say there was maybe 20,000 there. For those amount of people to go down there, for the absolute turd product that was on the field, mad respect. You are fans for life. No matter how low the bottom of the barrel is, you guys are going to show up. You're going to root for your team. You're going to hope that tomorrow's a better day. I have a lot of respect for that. That is a true fan. That is the fan that has been priced out of all the major sports. Those people who were there at the Meadowlands at the last Jets game. That's the Yankee fan who can't afford the moat seats, but is a diehard Yankee fan more than anyone who sits in those seats from first to third base, who would be screaming their head off and cheering on their team. That's for the Knick fan who can't afford $300 to sit in the nosebleed sections of Madison Square Garden to root on the Knicks. The Nets you can afford. That's the Giant fan the same way, because everything now in the Meadowlands is pretty much corporate tickets. So, if you're that fan who wants to cheer on your team, you've got jerseys, you've bought swag, your kids are fans, you can't afford it. And you can't show it. Because most of the people who go down there and can afford those seats, let's face it, they're rich. They're well-to-do. And they're just sitting back there on their hands and, rah-rah. They care more about the food and unlimited buffet than the game. I don't really have a problem with that, but you know what I'm getting at. So, the Jets, man, at some point, the Jets are going to be good. And they're going to be a contending team in the AFC East. They're going to get there. I believe they're going to get there. Are they going to get there with this current regime, with Idzik and Glenn? I don't think so. I think they're going to ride this out. They're going to, get their draft picks, try to build a team, but Aaron Glenn is not going to be your answer at coach. But I think what they will do is they will make the job, again, a New York head coaching job, which has a lot of benefits. They're going to make that job very interesting for people a couple years from now. See what coaches are available, and then let's bring in a name. Mike Tomlin? He may. I could see Tomlin coming in to coach the Jets because you need a game changer. There aren't many game changers out there like Harbaugh, Tomlin. There are no Bill Parcells anymore. And you're not bringing back Bill Belichick. Thank God. That girlfriend. Whew. But, yeah. So I would watch for Tomlin with the Jets. I think there could be a little smoke there eventually, and that would really, really turn the franchise around. All right, the last team I want to hit on, and let me see if I can move this over here. One that doesn't get discussed a lot in this area, the New York Islanders. I am an Islander fan, and I have been to UBS Arena this year for a game. I'm actually going to the game on the 26th against the Rangers. It's going to be my first Islanders-Rangers game. Never been to one. Looking forward to it like crazy. I got the custom jerseys with me and the wife's last names, same name, on the back of the jersey with my number. Love wearing them. The UBS Arena is an amazing place. It is a great, great arena. Obviously, it's going to be. It's the newest arena in the area. So it's like Barclays was when it was new. Everybody's like, ooh, it's great. Food is great. Cashless, though. That's weird. So the Islanders are a good team. I love Patrick Roy, the head coach. I love his moxie. I love his post-game interviews. He's always just he's like a general. He doesn't take any shit. I love it. And the kid Schaefer. How can you not love this kid? 19 years old, I think he is. 18, 19 years old. Talented like crazy. Was the number one draft pick, Matthew Schaefer, defenseman. He lives on Long Island with Boomer Esiason's daughter and her husband, Matt Martin, who was a former Islander player, former Islander defenseman. And he lives at their house, at least this year. It is like the greatest story, this kid. Draft night, crying. He sadly lost his mom, and he was in tears, and it just, the strings, man. Oh, it pulled the strings so hard. And you just wanted to root for this kid. And this is a franchise that's been stuck in that gray area of mediocrity since the Charles Wang days. Never were able to get over the hump. And I'm not saying we're there now, But this team has got something. Schaefer has brought something to this team that they haven't had in the past. A number one pick player. But he's elevated the play of everyone else around him, and that's what good players do. Ilya Sorokin, the goalie, is having one of his best seasons. He can be a little up and down at times, but I love Sorokin. Again, he's consider him a homegrown guy, but I think we got him from the Russian leagues some years ago. It's great to see him out there and doing what he's doing. Barzal has been fantastic. That play the other night, where in overtime, Barzal was going down the right side of the ice, 1v2, and Schaefer was trailing him on the left side, and he spins around and flicks the puck behind him to a wide open Schaefer for the overtime goal winner, was one of the best plays I have seen this team have in 20 years. Easily. It was so, when you watch it on TV and Barzal spins and throws a puck to the mid, you see everybody in the crowd stand up because the expectation was like, oh, this is going to be a goal. And man, he railed it home with a wrister. Everybody's jumping. The place has been good attendance-wise, even though, last I checked, the Islanders were 25th in the NHL in attendance. The number's a little skewed. They are selling 97% capacity every night at UBS Arena, but there are so many NHL teams that sell above capacity. I've seen 101, 107%, 110%. So they're jamming in more than the building can hold. So it skews the numbers a little bit. But, fans now have got a reason to go. And it's awesome. Hockey, to me, is the best sport to see live. I like it better than football, better than the NBA, better than baseball. It's consistently moving because obviously you're on ice. So you're never in a lull, even in a scoreless game. People are getting hit. The puck's getting smacked. You got to duck a puck. The glass is breaking. People are running into the goal. It's fucking hilarious. But it's great to watch. And now that we have a team that's got some youth there, Holmstrom has been great. Caleb, oh my God, that's not Caleb Durbin. I forgot his name. Caleb. Is his last name Caleb? I think it is. Shoot, I got to look it up. But these kids have come in and infused such excitement on the island. I hope they're going to make the playoffs. Right now, they're in second place from last I looked. Roster. Let's just take a look. I forgot the name. Cal Ritchie. That's the guy who's. You got Duclair, Anders Lee, Heineman. Heineman has been really good. And then you got the vet, man. You got Bo Horvat. Now it all kind of comes down to him. He is the offensive weapon. They need to make a trade to bring somebody else in to help offensively. Because Horvat's been hurt. He's been dealing with a lower body injury. Don't know when he's going to come back. But they've been treading water and been doing good. They won last night in overtime. So, the Islanders are giving us something to watch. We're going to watch them, and we're going to be commenting on their games. I didn't get to the Knicks. I'll hit them real quick, the Knicks. Let's move to the Knickerbockers. All right. Defense. Where is it? It doesn't exist in Madison Square Garden. The NBA is a different animal than the animal that I grew up watching. I played basketball most of my life. And always believed that defense was the key to winning championships. Because that's what I watched when I was younger. That's what those early 90s Knicks teams were all about, defense. Offense was like fifth in the order of things. Games back then were 91-85, 84-76, games like that. You didn't see today's 133-128 final. People, the 3-point shot in the NBA has gotten out of hand. It has. But there's nothing you can do about it. Some people are like, well, why don't we have a 4-pointer then? We'll just move another line out 45 feet out. You know what? They'll start hitting that. The centers, there are no centers anymore. There are no big men in the NBA anymore that are true big men. Dwight Howard was probably the last of a breed. There are no Shaqs. People that were play down on the blocks, and their entire game was 5 feet in, kind of like Mitchell Robinson. But Mitchell Robinson, he has an offensive game. They never use it because for whatever reason, he's never shown it. I've watched a lot of Mitchell Robinson practices, and I've seen him shoot threes and hit threes with regularity in practice. It's practice. We talk about practice. But he doesn't have a low block game. You don't feed the ball down into Mitch, have him go one-on-one against the other center and have him do spins or hooks or anything like that. It's just not there. He just puts back offensive rebounds, which he's probably the best in the NBA at. But you got guys like Karl Anthony Towns, who are shooting 4 or 5 threes a game from 35 feet out. Now it opens up the floor so you can play Karl Anthony Towns and Mitchell Robinson at the same time. But the defense, man, that's my worry about this team. Defensively, they're a horror show. OG Anunoby is supposed to be a lockdown defender on the outside. Same with Mikal Bridges. These guys came in here because they're nice offensive weapons. OG has been good offensively, streaky, but he's been good. Bridges thought he was going to be better, but he's consistent with his jumper. But they were supposed to be defensive lockdowns. Well, then how the hell are we giving up 122 points a game? Now we're scoring like 128 or something like that. Actually, let me give you the actual number. Let's see. Because we have the power to do this. The Knicks right now are averaging 119.4 points a game. Average giving up opponents' points per game, 114.9. So 120 to 115. The offense would rank them third. Or actually, wow, they're like 7th in offense. There's like Oklahoma City's averaging 121. Denver's averaging 123. Minnesota's averaging 120. Look at these numbers. This is offensive ridiculousness. But look at what they're giving up. There is not one team in the NBA, not one, that is giving up less than 108 points a game. 108. Back when I was a kid growing up, there were no teams that averaged more than 108 points offensively. They would all be in the upper 90s. If you were over 100, you were a run and gun team, again, with no defense. You were LA. I wouldn't even say Boston. It was Phoenix. Phoenix was a run and gun team, but not like this. So the game, it's a little hard to watch because now you got guys, they're shooting 40 to 70 3-pointers a game. I have seen people run down the court, stop and pull up at the 3-point line and chuck a 3 on like a 2v1 break. What world are we living in? This is going to be the destruction of the NBA. People don't like it. And they're being vocal about it. But what can the NBA do? They can't limit the use of the 3-pointer. You can only change the rules so much to affect whatever. You're not going to change anything to affect it to the point where this is going to stop. Players have literally, and this is the only sport that I think I can really say this, players have outgrown the talent limits that they had 20 years ago. Where if you were a big man or a guy that was over, let's say 6'7", 6'8", you had no outside game. Ewing started it back in the year. There were centers that were jump shooters. Ewing, Brad Daugherty of Cleveland was one. Centers that would pull you out 10 to 15 feet and hit a jumper. And all of a sudden, it started growing more and more. David Robinson started doing it. Hakeem Olajuwon was doing it. I saw Olajuwon shooting threes. That was craziness. Ewing would take you out 25, 27 feet and pop a jumper and hit it with consistency. Now, if you do not have a big man that is shooting threes, you're an anomaly. And it's made the NBA just hard to watch. Too much offense, too craziness. There are no stops. Where's the guys who used to average 4 or 5 blocks a game? Even Mitchell Robinson, who was a very good shot blocker, is only averaging, I think, less than 2 blocks a game. Because not a lot of the blocks that he gets are on the exterior, are near the 3-point line when some guard goes to chuck it up or a big guy goes to chuck it up and Mitch's long arms get in the way and hit the ball. So defense is the problem. And I don't think the Knicks defense right now is obviously championship quality. It's not. I think offensively they are. Coach Mike Brown has done a great job at playing the bench. We're going 10 deep, which never used to happen on this team, ever. 7, 8 at most would ever be in the rotation. Now you got guys like Tyler Kolek who's getting minutes. Ariel Hukporti is getting minutes. And these guys are showing their talents, which is good. I love seeing that. When they're on that, like Hukporti is a beast. He doesn't have a lot of great offensive touch around the basket, but he kind of reminds me of, remember Anthony Bonner, who the Knicks had in the early 90s? He was built like a brick shithouse. Really didn't have a lot of offensive game, but you get him around the rim, and he's like a ferocious tiger. He'll go through you to get the ball, and he'll lay it in. He'll slam it home. He's great on the pick and roll. Guys like that, that are, Landry Shamet hasn't come back yet, but he was getting major minutes. He's getting 20 minutes a game, Landry Shamet, and he was putting up numbers. The guy was hitting threes like crazy. So offensively, this team has got what they need to win an NBA title. I believe that. Defensively, they don't have shit to win an NBA title. Karl Anthony Towns and Jalen Brunson are horrible defenders. Brunson is undersized at the point. Doesn't have, for a guy that has unbelievable lateral movement offensively, defensively, it's like he's stuck in mud. I don't get why. I've always been in a belief that you can't teach defense. Defense is something that you're born with. You have to have the ability, the knowledge, and the talent to move your feet, be able to stay with the defender. A lot of it is anticipation, and a good portion of it is also not committing stupid fouls. Knowing what your limits are, knowing how far you are away from the basket, hand position, feet position, stay in front of your defender, fight through screens, etc. You can't really teach that. You can teach kind of positioning. You can't put your hands on the offensive player anymore, but you can teach stance, you can teach certain things, but again, it's something that you got to be built with. You have to have a knack for playing defense. Karl Anthony Towns and Jalen Brunson don't have that knack. So when you're on the floor, they're on the floor. Defensively, you're basically 5v3. They're that bad. I've seen people blow by Karl Anthony Towns like he's standing still. Any guard with any kind of shake and bake movement or left-right movement, especially if they can go to their offhand, is going to get by Brunson. And that puts an extreme amount of pressure on Bridges and Anunoby to pick up the slack, and Mitchell Robinson. So then what happens? Mitchell Robinson gets into foul trouble because now he's outside guarding somebody who he shouldn't be guarding because they were switched, and now he's picking up ticky-tack fouls. He's gotten better at it. And the one thing Mitch does, which is really improved, he doesn't go for the deke anymore and jump off his feet, which is huge as a big man. You can't deke him up. He will stay down until you're actually going up for the shot, and he'll be on you. So I don't know how they're going to improve that or change that going into the playoffs. They're obviously going to make the playoffs. People are like, well, you got to trade Karl Anthony Towns. We got to get I can't even say his name. Giannis, I'll just say. I never been able to say his name. Antetokounmpo. Yes, Giannis is a much, much better defender and offensive player. Overall better, he's MVP, than Karl Anthony Towns. But let's say we did bring him in, and it would cost us a lot. You're going to destroy that chemistry that you have on the team right now, which is good enough to win the East. That's the scary part. And I don't do it. I don't trade for Giannis. I keep this team as it is, but I think we've got to come up with a way. And maybe it is with these guys and these kids, these youth kids, that they're playing more and more, to figure out a way to integrate them into the rotation where they can help in key defensive moments, where you really don't mind if they're getting fouls, but they got to be physical. The NBA's lost all of its physicality. I joke a lot on Twitter. I talk to former NBA player Kenny Anderson, who's a great guy. Mr. Chibbs, great guy, right here from Queens. He is so much fun to talk to. And I give him shit all the time. He's hilarious. And I talked to him about, back in the day, I was like, yeah, I would have taken you to the hole, Kenny. I would have, come into my house. You drive down my lane, there's only one thing's going to happen. You're leaving in a hospital bed. Because that's what the NBA was back then. The old Ewing, Oakley, I'll even say Charles Smith, but Mason, that was NBA defense. If you were a guard and you drove down the lane to attempt a layup, you were going to get destroyed. Odds are you weren't going to get the shot off, but your ass was going to wind up on the floor, a couple of elbow marks, smacked, beaten, bruised, kicked. They might have even lit you on fire. That was NBA defense. That is NBA defense. That's what I want. That's what I yearn for. I want to see a defensive battle, almost like a pitcher's duel in baseball. Like dueling no-hitters going into the 8th inning. I want to see block shots. I want to see steals. I want to see offensive foul charges because they can't get around the defender. Just beating the living crap out of each other. Rick Mahorn, Charles Barkley back in the early days, the Sixers back in the late 80s. I mean, you were insane if you even got into the paint and you weren't a big man. If you were under 6'5", and you attempted to drive the lane against Rick Mahorn, he was just going to deck you. He would take the foul. There were no flagrant fouls back then. It was just a punch to the jaw, basically. That was it. You are not coming in my house. I yearn for those days. They ain't never coming back because, well, let's face it, everybody's a pussy these days. But the Knicks have got to do something defensively. They've got to find a way to limit other teams and build that offense off of their defense. I don't have a solid answer on how they do that, but I think if I had to guess, I think it has something to do with these kids getting the minutes. Now, a guy like Tyler Kolek, he's not good defensively either. He's undersized. But I look at the big men on the interior. If you could limit whatever interior offensive a team has, and now rebounding is bigger than ever because teams are, again, they're shooting the lights out. But if you can get your defensive rebounding and offensive rebounding salty, that probably is what gives you the best chance to win in today's NBA. That's why Mitchell Robinson is so important. He's averaging about 4.5 offensive rebounds a game, which I believe leads the NBA, or is close to leading the NBA. He only plays about 20 minutes a game. So stretch that out over 40, damn near 8, 9 offensive rebounds a game. That's huge. That's 9, 10, 11, 12 more offensive possessions to score. Monster numbers. Really monster numbers. So going forward, we're going to watch it. Again, we're going to do some pods, and they may be on YouTube, they may not be. It depends. I'm going to do some without the green screen behind me, but setting this thing up this early in the morning is mind-numbing. But we're going to do some that go straight to Spotify or whatever. I'll find the right medium where you can hear it live. If I want to do something live, I got to do it on YouTube. It's just the easiest, and y'all love seeing my face. So look for those coming. How long have we gone here? Wow, we've gone an hour and a half. Damn. Not bad. I thought I was only going to do an hour. All right, so we're going to get some guests on. I'm going to try to get a guest for the next show. I want to see if my best boy will come on and talk about the Mets, and I want to talk about his stadium visits. That's a fascinating story that I think people are going to like. He's traveled all over the country. Him, his beautiful wife, his 2 kids, been to every major league ballpark. And I'd love people to know, like, what were some of the nuances? How did you plan it? The thought process behind it, which is And obviously, financially, that cannot be cheap to do. But it was a fascinating story. I think you're all going to like that. We are going to try to contact Pat Clements and see if he'd like to come on. And I'm also going to have Gino Bisconti is going to come on. He has his football show that it's great. We were watching him yesterday during, I think, the afternoon football game. He was on YouTube streaming. It was a lot of fun chatting with him. So you love Uncle Gino. He's the uncle that comes over and during a barbecue winds up setting your garage on fire, but you love him anyway. So we'll get Gino on here to talk some football. He's got a unique perspective because he's a L.A. Chargers fan. San Diego Superchargers. So is my friend Eric, who lives out in San Diego. But a Chargers fan in New York? That's weird. Love to dig into his brain and see what got that going. And we'll find more people. There's many people who I'd love to come on and talk about sports. Maybe, it's hard to have them come on after a game, but on a show like this, come on, and anybody could come on. If you want to email the show, if you want to come on the show, if you want me to hit a topic, I have an email address for you. You have to send an email to I495podcast@gmail.com. Everything's Gmail these days. Send an email to the I495podcast@gmail.com. Any questions you have, any topics you want me to cover, any discussions. This thing I don't think went out on YouTube for some reason. My Wirecast kind of crapped the bed. I have to figure that out. But I'm going to upload it now to Spotify. And it should be up by noon. So if anybody wants to listen to this in the car, or I will upload it to YouTube as well. You can watch it at your discretion. Thank you for tuning in this week. Let's see what the Yankees do at Bellinger. We got the football games this afternoon, which are going to start like in an hour, right? I think so. We'll figure that out. No, 4. I think they start at 4. I guess what time they start. So we're gonna watch those, and it's a lot of fun. I love having an outlet to talk sports. I hope you all enjoyed it, and I will see you again next time. By the way, how'd you like the opening song intro? It's pretty badass, right? I'm gonna go out with that. So I gotta get an outer going, but yeah. So here we go. Thank you all again. See you soon.
From the sound to the city line, every team, every town, all gas down the main spine.